This program has many sessions, and the first session is free for you. In this session, I try to introduce the basic aspects of how to improve your employability, how to use your finance-based education like MBA, BCom, MCom, CA, CME to your advantage so that you reach your fullest potential and reach the best in the industry. This program I have divided into various modules. The first two modules are dealing with skills. The first aspect of skill is you need to understand how to convert your technical knowledge, what you study in the college, to a skill. That has three subdivisions. You need to understand what is a skill set. You need to know how to put that in practice. So you need to know how to perform. So learning to performance is very critical. And finally, you should watch yourself, observe yourself, how you develop your skills. The second aspect is functional skills, which is exactly your area like accounting and reporting, taxation, or corporate governance matters, in which you are going to put your theoretical learning into real practice. The other skills which are needed are technological skills, that is using information technology, robotic process automation, data analytics, artificial intelligence, how you could make your life easier, both in your professional life as well as the life after. The business skills, how the business model is being there and how to negotiate, how to ensure that you manage the contracts well so that you grow in business. And now you need to understand the very critical skills as to the management skills or managerial skills. You will find a lot of books talking about how to be a good follower, but how to be a good leader. But no book talks about how to be a good follower. And that would reorient you to be a good follower. And then we also give you how you should transform from being a follower to leader. So both these skill sets are very much needed if you want to scale up in lab. And then the personal skills dealing with the times management, stress management, communication, and your influencing skills. This session, I are predominantly going to focus on how to convert your knowledge to skill. Now, first of all, many people are not able to understand what is skill. Okay, people confuse it with knowledge, talent, and many other things. So let me clarify what is skill. Skill is the ability to do things. That means I need to bring some results. In fact, when I was doing CIMA London, the professor remarked, I don't care how much you know. Just bother about what you can do for me, at what cost, and what benefit it would create for me. So the ability to do things in an economic, effective, and efficient manner is called skill. And what is knowledge? It's knowing how to do things or what to do, how to do. That aspect of the theoretical knowledge is knowledge, but the skill is the ability. A skill has the energy in that. A skill has the effectiveness in that. It is not just a piece of information, insight, or knowledge. To put it in a different way, any one of us can comment why Sachin Tendulkar couldn't score century in this particular match. But can we play like Sachin Tendulkar? They may have the cricket knowledge, but not the cricket skill which Sachin Tendulkar possesses. So that's the critical aspects of knowledge and skill, and that's why industry is more oriented towards differentiating the skilled people from the knowing one. And that's what is the differentiating factor for you to enter the industry. And now, what is important? Knowledge or skill, and why? That question will come. So, as I told you, skill is more important because it results, it creates the economic result. Knowledge is not that important because it could be freely obtained. Even by a Google search, you can just obtain whatever knowledge you need. But skill comes only when you really get trained. So now we have to come to the old paradigm. Knowledge is power. No, now in Google era, digital era, applied knowledge is power, which means skill. If you possess the skill, you are powerful. You can win the world. Now, so I need to teach you how to acquire, develop, and manage your skill sets. And what are the types of skills which you should have so that you could really become better in industry. Now, I need to introduce you the concept of learning to performance. You would have seen in various textbooks, even when you read your book, there would be a chapter. In the chapter, there would be something called the learning objective. You would always find that there is a verb in Tamil we call as vinaichol, that is, which is having something to do with. It deals with some action, okay, and that verb is a clue and the key for the level of knowledge which is being discussed by that subject. For example, if somebody takes a GST textbooks, it would say that the first chapter, introduction to GST. So what would be the learning objective? To know what is the purpose of introducing GST, to understand and differentiate the post and pre-GST era. Now, what are these two objectives? If there are something objective, first is to understand, to introduce. Now, these words which have the verb in it gives you what level of knowledge the subject is going to discuss. Being the first chapter, it is going to have the introductory knowledge, which is nothing but facts and comprehension. So if you look at the level of knowledges, I would say that there are roughly around 5 levels of knowledge. Starts with a fact. You should be aware of certain facts. Then you should comprehend the fact. So to comprehend, you should understand what is the content and what is the context, how these two are related. So that gives you the comprehension knowledge. Once you've got comprehension, then you should have something called the application. The application require, could I use this knowledge in the given situation? How far I could see the similarity between the contextual knowledge which I obtained just in the previous session to this. And once you are thorough with the application, you become analytical. So you just understand what's going, what works, what doesn't work, and how to repeat what works, how to avoid what doesn't work. So all those things require some analysis. Once you've got analytical skills, then you come to evaluative skills, where that you create a behavior, you create a system, you create something which would ease you to perform. So that is the fourth stage of your skill. Then finally you become expert. So the expertise is the last stage of skill set, which travels from just gathering the facts to becoming an expert. So these are the levels of knowledge. So if you look at the verbs, you could capture what is the level of knowledge being discussed. Supposing when you read the accounts or something, it would say to analyze what is the applicability of this accounting standard to this given situation. Then that has a higher level of knowledge. If it simply says to introduce the accounting standard, then it is just on fact and comprehension. So you need to understand the level of knowledge by studying what is the verb used in the learning objective of your textbooks. And then you need to understand from the industry parlance, you are given something called a role description, job description, something that is a parlance used in industry. When you enter the industry, something get transformed. It is called a performance objective. The manager wants you to do things, wants you to produce results. And here it's not like cricket. You can't go and say, I could score only this much run, so we say that we lost the match. No, you need to win. And the winning should be 100% at industry. There is no chance for you to lose. That is the reality of the real job. So you can't lose in the job. You can't say next time I will correct all those things. You need to be perfect the very first time. In fact, when I was a junior, I remember a driver talking to me. Oh, we are all young boys. We just moved from one place to another. We were accompanied by a very senior driver. At the time, I was discussing about the mistakes which we have made as boys in the income tax return. And one guy remarked, what is a solution can have? I simply told, okay, yeah, we can file a 154 petition and we can improvise our work year on year. No problem. We make some money. Like that, I just made a joke. The driver parked the car, turned us and said, hey guys, if I decide that I would improvise my driving over a period of time, would you guys be alive? Then we are all dumbstruck. And he just told, industry will not tolerate a person who says, I will improvise, because you indirectly mean you are going to create damage. So you need to perform, and that too perfectly well in the right time and the first attempt. So there is no attempts like we do in CA in industry. You have to get it done right first time. So to do that, we call something called the performance objective. It has basically three components: the task, the exact work which you are going to do; the role, the thought process related to the task. That is the purpose why I am doing this task. That determines the role. And skill requirement, otherwise called as competency mapping for that role. To perform that role, what skills I need to have. And finally, I need to connect my theoretical knowledge, which I study in the classroom, to that skills. Only when you could do this much, you would possess the ability to perform in the real world. The skill development, if you look at it as the process, you need to understand the very basic aspects of industry. So the industry focuses you first as a person and then as a professional. So you need to possess certain personal skills and professional skills. Then once you got into the industry, you need to lay down your career path. Now I need to make you to understand how your finance department works inside the company. What is the structure of it? So what is the next step above you and how you should move in this ladder towards the top? So the career path, you have to follow it. You can't skip the roles. See, you can't say I would enter as a junior accountant and then I will become CFO. You need to grow through the ladder, go through the structure of the department. And it's very difficult to break it in the real world. Very a few people could break it and reach some position. So journey up the ladder is very critical and you should know the art and science of it. And finally, you need to possess something called knowledge and skill management practices, whereby the structural knowledge, that is the knowledge which you obtain from the book, classroom, and the proper seminars or training session, to tacit knowledge, where you personalize, internalize. See, sometimes people will call certain thing as both art and science. You know why? The thing which is art has certain personality of the person who is giving the art. Okay? And science has a model. Okay, let's take singing. It's both art and science. Accounts is both art and science. Audit is both art and science. Why? Because there is a model. You should make a sound in this particular pattern in order to become a raga or tala. That's the model. But how do you do? What emotions you pack with that? How do you use the raga with the bhava? That determines the art. Same way, you have to record entries like this. That is the accounting rule. Now, what kind of implications you can have from the accounts? How you can do the romance with the numbers and learn what's happening behind the business. Behind the screens, if you could understand what goes on by looking at the numbers, then you are becoming artistic towards them. So you need to understand how to convert your structure to tacit, that is, whatever you obtain through the proper training media, how you could internalize and create a product which only you can do. So that part of conversion is very much important. That is the art and science of learning. So now I am going to give you how to learn from experience and from internalizing the knowledge. That is the last part of the knowledge development. So these things becomes the basis of skill development.